Hare Krishna. So, we welcome you all to this reading session on Krishna book, chapter number 21 and 22. So, today we'll be reading chapter 21, and tomorrow we'll be reading chapter number 22. So, these two are very small chapters, therefore, we have clubbed them together. And on Sunday, we'll be having our exam. So, let's begin this discussion with this wonderful prayer from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Rakshamam Krishna 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 Pahimam Ram Raghav Ram Raghav Ram Raghav Rakshamam Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahimam. The Pranam Mantra of Srila Prabhupada. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desha Tarine Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we begin chapter number 21 entitled The Gopis Attracted by the Flute. With the arrival of the beautiful autumn season, the waters in the lakes and rivers became as clear as crystal and filled with fragrant lotus flowers, and breezes blew very pleasantly. At that time, Krishna entered the forest of Vrindavan with the cows and cowherd boys. Krishna was very much pleased with the atmosphere of the forest, where flowers bloomed and bees and drones hummed very jubilantly. While the birds, trees, and plants were all looking very happy, Krishna, tending the cows and accompanied by Sri Balaram and the cowherd boys, began to vibrate his transcendental flute. After hearing the vibration of the flute of Krishna, the gopis in Vrindavan remembered him and began to talk amongst themselves about how nicely Krishna was playing his flute. When the gopis were describing the sweet vibration of Krishna's flute, they also remembered their pastimes with him. Thus, their minds became disturbed, and they were unable to describe completely the beautiful vibrations. While discussing the transcendental vibration, they remembered also how Krishna dressed, decorated with a peacock feather on his head, just like a dancing actor, and with blue flowers pushed over his ear, his garment glowed yellow gold, and he was garlanded with a Vaijanti necklace. Dressed in such an attractive way, Krishna filled up the holes of his flute with the nectar emanating from his lips. So they remembered him entering the forest of Vrindavan, which is always glorified by the footprints of Krishna and his companions. So this chapter is describing to some extent the relationship and the interaction between the young gopis and Lord Krishna. So the young gopis, there are types of gopis. One are the elderly gopis who are of the age group of Mother Yashoda, those who are mothers of all the cowherd boys. So they are the elderly gopis, and the young gopis who are either they are married or they are unmarried. So that's what we can here learn from here that when the gopis are thinking about how Lord will be playing his flute in the forest, so they are constantly remembering the pastimes of the Lord. But the thing is that they remembered Krishna and all his pastimes. How? By hearing the vibration of the flute of Krishna. So when the gopis heard Krishna's flute, they immediately started remembering all his pastimes and how he dressed, what kind of ornaments he's wearing. He's dressed in yellow garments. He's garlanded with a Vaijanti necklace. So we had already learned this, and he's decorated with blue flowers. So and then they are also remembering that how Krishna is playing his flute, and the nectar which is emanating from his mouth or from his lips is entering into the holes of the flute. So therefore the land of Vrindavan is very glorious. Why? Because it is having the footprints of Krishna and all his companions. Krishna was very expert in playing the flute, and the gopis were captivated by the sound vibration, which was attractive not only to them but to all living creatures who heard it. One of the gopis told her friends, "The highest perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balaram entering the forest and playing their flutes and tending the cows with their friends." Persons who are constantly engaged in transcendental meditation of seeing Krishna internally and externally by thinking of him playing the flute, entering the Vrindavan forest, and tending the cows with the cowherd boys have really attained the perfection of samadhi. Samadhi or trance means absorption of all the activities of the senses in a particular object. And the gopis indicate that the pastimes of Krishna are the perfection of all meditation and samadhi. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who is always absorbed in the thought of Krishna is the topmost of all yogis. Another gopi expressed her opinion that Krishna and Balaram, while tending the cows, appeared just like actors going to play on a dramatic stage. Krishna was dressed in glowing garments of yellow, Balaram in blue, and they held new twigs of mango tree, peacock feathers, and bunches of flowers in their hands. Dressed with garlands of lotus flowers, they were sometimes singing very sweetly among their friends. One gopi told her friends, "How is it Krishna and Balaram are looking so beautiful?" Another gopi said, my dear friends, we cannot even think of his bamboo flute. What sort of pious activities did it execute so that it is now enjoying the nectar of the lips of Krishna, which is actually the property of us, the gopis? So they are admiring the fortune of the flute because it is always in contact with the Lord. The Lord plays the flute. So how fortunate it will be! What kind of pious activities it would have done? So then Krishna sometimes kisses the gopis, and therefore the transcendental nectar of his lips is available only to them. So the gopis asked, "How is it possible that the flute, which is nothing but a bamboo rod, is always engaged in enjoying the nectar from Krishna's lips?" Because the flute is engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, the mother and the father of the flute must be happy. So, in admiring this fortune, they are thinking that the mother and father of this bamboo, because flute is just made up of a bamboo rod, nothing else. So they are admiring that how fortunate this bamboo is, and especially how fortunate and happy will be the parents of this bamboo. The lakes and rivers are considered to be the mothers of the trees because the trees live simply by drinking water. So, the waters of the lakes and rivers of Vrindavan were in a happy mood, full of blooming lotus flowers, because the waters were thinking, how is it that our son, the bamboo rod, is enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips? So, we see here that the water is also conscious. In Vrindavan, everything is conscious. It's Chetan. It is having Chetana, consciousness. So the water is thinking that they are so happy that the lotuses are blooming everywhere. How is it that our son, the bamboo rod, is enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips? The bamboo trees standing by the banks of the rivers and lakes were so happy to see their descendant so engaged in the service of the Lord, just as persons who are advanced in transcendental knowledge take pleasure in seeing their descendants engaged in the service of the Lord. The trees were overwhelmed with joy and were incessantly yielding honey, which flowed from the beehives hanging on their branches. So, out of this joy, honey was flowing from the trees, which were on the from the beehives hanging on the trees, and they were feeling so happy that one of their descendant, that's the bamboo flute, is being engaged in service to the Lord in such a fortunate manner. Another gopi spoke thus to her friends about Krishna: Dear friend, our Vrindavan is proclaiming the glories of this entire earth because this planet is glorified by the lotus footprints of the son of Devaki. Besides that, when Govinda plays his flute, the peacocks immediately become mad as if they had heard the rumbling of a new cloud. When all the animals and trees and plants, either on the top of the Govardhan hill or on in the valley, see the dancing of the peacocks, they all stand still and listen to the transcendental sound of the flute with great attention. We think that this boon is not possible or available on any other planet. So they are now counting their fortune that they are living in a place called Vrindavan where the footprints of the Supreme Lord are present. He's personally present over there, and all these peacocks, they become mad after seeing mad after hearing the flute of the Lord, as if they have heard and they have seen a new monsoon cloud. And they were wondering that had they not been born on this planet, this was out of question, this fortune was out of question. Although the gopis were village cowherd women and girls, they had extensive Vedic knowledge. Such is the effect of Vedic civilization. People in general would learn the highest truths of the Vedas simply by hearing from the authoritative sources. Another gopi said, My dear friends, just see the deer. Although they are dumb animals, that means they can't speak, they have approached the son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna. Not only they are attracted by the dress of Krishna and Balaram, but as soon as they hear the playing of the flute, the hear the deer along with their husbands offer respectful obeisances unto the Lord by looking at him with great affection. The gopis were envious of the deer because the deer were able to offer their service to Krishna along with their husbands. The gopis thought themselves not so fortunate because whenever they wanted to go to Krishna, their husbands were not very happy. So some of the gopis were married also, the young gopis, and they used to feel very bad because if they wanted to meet Krishna, then they were not allowed, and they are feeling envious of the deer because they were able to serve the Lord with their husbands, right? Another gopi said, My dear friends, Krishna is so nicely dressed that he appears to be the impetus to various kinds of ceremonies held by the women folk. Even the wives of the denizens of heaven become attracted after hearing the transcendental sound of his flute. Although they are traveling in the air in their airplanes, enjoying the company of their husbands, on hearing the sound of Krishna's flute, they immediately become perturbed. Perturbed means disturbed. Their hair is loosened, their tight belts are slackened. This means that the transcendental sound of the flute of Krishna extended to all corners of the universe. Also, it is significant that the gopis knew about the different kinds of airplanes flying in the sky. So, Prabhupada has already mentioned that Vedic civilization means that even a simple village girl was also very intelligent and highly knowledgeable. Another gopi said to her friends, My dear friends, the cows are also charmed as soon as they hear the transcendental sound of flute of Krishna. It sounds to them like the pouring of nectar, and they immediately spread their long ears just to catch the liquid nectar of the flute. So, as a cow, if she becomes attentive, then the ears become um, like alert. So, when they hear the flute of Krishna, their long ears become spreaded out. As for the calves, they are seen with the nipples of their mothers pressed in their mouths, but they cannot suck the milk. They remain stuck with devotion, and tears glide down from their eyes, illustrating vividly how they are embracing Krishna heart to heart. These phenomena indicate that even the cows and calves in Vrindavan knew how to cry for Krishna and embrace him heart to heart. So, whatever we are learning, whatever we are reading now, is primarily about the Shantaras, that how the different animals of Vrindavan interact with the Lord, how they are reciprocating with the Lord. So we have seen about peacocks, then we heard about the bamboos, then we had heard about the deer. Now we are reading about the calves and the cows who were crying for Krishna. So this is primarily in Shantaras. Shantaras means the neutral. So that we had read in previous chapters that there are five primary rasas and there are seven secondary rasas. So out of the five primary rasas, that is Shantaras is the preliminary. I would say like the primary rasas are five. So that is Shantaras, that is neutral, that you love in a neutral frame of mind. Like there's no direct interaction, just like the trees. When they see the Lord, they bow down. Then the next stage is Sakyaras, or servant service in the form of a servant. For example, the friends of the Lord, or like we say Arjuna, Hanumanji is in the mood of Sakyaras, as serving as a servant. And then comes this was Dasiras. Dasiras means you are a servant. Then comes Sakyaras. Sakyaras means that you are serving the Lord as a friend, just like Arjuna or Subal Sakha, Sri Dama, and Stoka Krishna. So all the cowherd boys, they are in uh, Sakyaras. So Shantras, then Dasiras, then Sakyaras, and then comes um, Vatsalyaras. Vatsalyaras means as a parent. If you serve the Lord, service in the mood of a parent, just like Vishoda Mata and all the elderly gopis, Nand Maharaj, Vasudev, Devaki. So they are all having Vatsalyaras. And the topmost of all of them is Madhurya which is as a lover, as a like the gopis, they are Srimati Radharani, what relationship she has with the rasa that she and the gopis enjoy with the Lord is Madhurya ras. So as we read it, we'll get to know more. But whatever we have read till now, this is primarily coming in the domain or in this jurisdiction of Shantras. Actually, the perfection of Krishna consciousness can be culminated in the shedding of tears from the eyes. Another gopi told her mother, "My dear mother, the birds who are all looking at Krishna playing on his flute are sitting very attentively on the branches and twigs of different trees. From their features, it appears that they have forgotten everything and are engaged only in Krishna, hearing Krishna's flute. This proves that they are not ordinary birds, they are great sages and devotees. And just to hear Krishna's flute, they have appeared in Vrindavan forest as birds. Great sages and scholars are interested in Vedic knowledge, but the essence of Vedic knowledge is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedyo. Through the knowledge of the Vedas, Krishna has to be understood. From the behavior of these birds, it appeared that they were great scholars in Vedic knowledge, and they took to Krishna's transcendental vibration and rejected all branches of Vedic knowledge. Even the river Yamuna, being desirous of embracing the lotus feet of Krishna, after hearing the transcendental vibration of his flute, broke her fierce waves to flow very nicely with lotus flowers in her hands, just to present flowers to Mukunda with deep feeling. So, not only the different creatures, but rather even the river Yamuna, she is also overflowing her banks and presenting lotus flowers to the Lord and at his lotus feet. So this is all about Shantras. So the scorching heat of the autumn sunshine was sometimes intolerable, and therefore the clouds in the sky appeared in sympathy above Krishna and Balaram and their boyfriends while they engaged in blowing their flutes. The clouds served as a soothing umbrella over their heads just to make friendship with Krishna. So, although we had read previously that in Vrindavan there is nothing like scorching heat or extreme cold or extreme hot, it's always a spring season there. But the clouds are also trying to serve the Lord. Why? How they are doing it? They are uh, preventing the scorching sunshine to come down. The abortion girls became fully satisfied when they smeared their faces and breasts with the dust of Vrindavan, which was reddish from the touch of Krishna's lotus feet. The abortion girls had very full breasts and they were also very lusty. But when their lovers touched their breasts, the girls were not very much satisfied. When they came out into the midst of the forest, they saw that while Krishna was walking, some of the leaves and creepers of Vrindavan had turned reddish from the kumkum powder which fell from his lotus feet. His lotus feet are held by the gopis on their breasts, which are smeared with kumkum powder. And when Krishna travels in the Vrindavan forest with Balaram and his boyfriends, the reddish powder falls on the ground of the Vrindavan forest. So the lusty Aborigine girls, while looking towards Krishna playing his flute, saw the reddish kumkum on the ground and immediately took it and smeared over their faces and breasts. In this way, they became fully satisfied, although they were not satisfied when their lovers touched their breasts. All material lusty desires can be immediately satisfied if one comes in contact with Krishna consciousness. So, this we can learn from here that the lusty desires which exist in this material world can be completely diminished and removed, can be satisfied by coming in Krishna consciousness. Another gopi began to praise the unique position of Govardhan Hill. So, till now, they had discussed about the fortune of the different animals and how they are reciprocating with the Lord. Then they discussed about Mother Yamuna, and now they are discussing about the position of Govardhan Hill. How fortunate is this Govardhan Hill, for it is enjoying the association of Lord Krishna and Balram who are accustomed to walking on it. Thus, Govardhan is always in touch with the lotus feet of the Lord, and because Govardhan Hill is so obliged to Lord Krishna and Balram, it is supplying different kinds of fruits, roots, herbs, as well as very pleasing crystal water from its lakes in presentation to the Lord. The best presentation offered by Govardhan Hill, however, is newly grown grass for the cows and calves. Govardhan Hill knows how to please the Lord by pleasing his most beloved associates, the cows and the cowherd boys. So we know that Govardhan Hill is also known as Haridas Varya. So Govardhan Hill serves the Lord how? First of all, presenting very nice kinds of fruits, roots, and herbs, and very crystal clear water in its lakes. Also, he's serving the devotees. Not only Lord Krishna he's serving, but Govardhan is also serving the devotees. How? By providing fresh, newly grown grass for the cows and calves, soft grasses, and he's also providing. Serving the supreme lord and his cowherd boyfriends by providing them wonderful places to sit, the caves where Lord can go and take rest. So Govardhan Hill is therefore called Haridasvarya, means one who is uh, the topmost of the servants of the Lord. Another gopi said, everything appears wonderful when Krishna and Balaram travel in the forest of Vrindavan, playing their flutes and making intimate friendship with all kinds of moving and non moving living creatures. When Krishna and Balaram play on their transcendental flutes, the moving creatures become stunned and stop their activities, and the non moving living creatures like trees and plants began to shiver with ecstasy. These are the wonderful reactions to the vibration of the transcendental flutes of Krishna and Balaram. Krishna and Balaram carrying binding ropes on their shoulders and in their hands, their hind legs with a small rope. Sorry. These are the wonderful reactions to the vibration of the transcendental flutes of Krishna and Balaram. Krishna and Balaram carried binding ropes on their shoulders and in their hands, just like ordinary cowherd boys. While milking the cows, the boys bound their hind legs with a small rope. This rope almost always hung from the shoulder of the boys, and it was not absent from the shoulders of Krishna and Balaram. In spite of their being the supreme personality of Godhead, they played exactly like the cowherd boys, and therefore everything became wonderful and attractive. So, Lord is not just acting, He's completely into that role of a cowherd boy. And one important thing which we learned over here is that when Krishna and Balaram they play their flutes, what happens? The creatures which are moving, they become stunned. They stop. Jamuna ji is flowing. She stops. She's so much in ecstasy. And the non-moving living creatures like trees, plants which do not move, they begin to shiver with ecstasy. So the moving creatures they become stunned. The deer stop walking. Yamuna ji stops moving, and they are simply enamored and hearing the flute of the Lord. And those creatures who are not moving, they start moving. So this is the glory of wonderful reactions to the transcendental flute of Krishna and Balaram. While Krishna was engaged in tending the cows in the forest of Vrindavan or on the Govardhan hill, the gopis in the village were always absorbed in thinking of him and discussing his different pastimes. This is the perfect example of Krishna consciousness, to somehow or other remain engrossed in the thoughts of Krishna. This vivid example is always present in the behavior of the gopis. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya declared that no one can worship the Supreme Lord by any method which is better than the method of the gopis. The gopis were not born in very high Brahmana or Kshatriya families. They were born in the family of the Vaishyas, and not in very big mercantile families, but in families of cowherd men. They were not very well educated, although they heard all sorts of knowledge from the Brahmanas, the authorities of Vedic knowledge. The gopis' only purpose was to remain always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. The sense, the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 21st chapter of Krishna, the gopis attracted by the flute. So we'll culminate our discussion over here. Srila Prabhupada is very clearly explaining that the Supreme Lord can be worshipped in a manner. Lord Chaitanya has said that the best way to worship the Supreme Lord is the method which was accepted, which was given by the gopis. And what is that method? To always remain conscious of the Lord and uh, always remain absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. So that's what Sri Goswami says, Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavyam Najat Chit. This is Krishna consciousness. That we always remember Krishna and we never forget Krishna. And by if you follow this principle, rest all other principles are servant of this principle. So we are very fortunate that Srila Prabhupada has given us such an authoritative commentary and summary of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll stop our discussion for this chapter today, and tomorrow we'll again meet at the same time for chapter number 22. So, and we will have a combined test of both of these chapters on Sunday. So we thank all of you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.